We are in Parker, my friends, and I need to turn the radio down. We're in Parker, and we have, according to the GPS, 36 miles to go to get to HAVASU. So we'll see what the everything looks like. Sorry for all this fumbling around, which probably is making a lot of noise, but I want to put the microphone on me. And we're going to pull out now onto 95 North. And we have the our camera on the outside on my hood. So you have a great view. Those of you that love driving views, this is as good as it gets. So 36 miles to go to Lake Havasu, to Darrell's place. And I'm looking at the map, and you can't see it, but I can see on the map, we're following the mighty Colorado River on our left here. This is the Indian land around here is called the Colorado River Tribes Reservation. So I assume that means Colorado River Tribes is a collection of Indian tribes that have come together and managed the tribal land. I think we come close. I see water down there to the left. You guys see water down there? It's the river. It's the Colorado River. Riverside Drive, that makes sense, right? So we got a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit here. So I'm pretty confident with the rig that has dual suction cups on the hood of the car. Plus I have a tether tied from the rig, pretty short tied to where the windshield wiper is. So I'm not too worried. And this topography is just a little bit more interesting than the between Quartzsite and Parker. It's pretty flat and featureless, and so far this is not flat and featureless. It's bumpy and featureful. One of the things when I went through Parker, I was making a big deal out of, hey, look guys, there's a Ford dealership here, so you're staying in Quartzsite, just know there's a Ford dealership. And what I didn't even notice is there's also a Chevy dealership there. So there's both a Ford and a Chevy dealership. Now we're coming up on a traffic light here. We got to be careful. We don't want to be coming too fast and have that yellow turn on us and have to jam on the brakes. Well, looking like that's not going to happen, so we can resume 55. So I don't know whether you're going to be sitting watching this entire 30-minute trip or not. And you know what that's going to depend on? If I have anything remotely interesting to talk about, which at the moment, because I say that, I don't. I will say I will promote my video from yesterday, and it was the Thanksgiving trip. Wow, look at all those side-by-sides on the right there. There's quite a troop. Quite a troop. And I bet they're coming from, they call it the Desert Bar. And it might be, I think it's the turn right here. See it? Cienega Springs Road. The Desert Bar is a restaurant and bar kind of complex out in the desert off-grid. They have huge solar panels and everything, but it's quite a little ride out there, and it's frequented by side-by-sides and Jeeps. But my truck made it just fine. It's a perfectly fine, not a challenging dirt road, just about. I think any vehicle can make it just fine, just drive slow. But I can't see myself going back there. But it was certainly worth a once in a lifetime trip. The food was pretty expensive. I don't think we bought any food there when we went. So this gives you an idea of, when you're staying in Quartzsite for the season, what's within my reach? Where can I go? Especially if you're blessed like I am, having a travel trailer and a truck I'm detached from it, and I can take these little trips. And I call them day trips. This could easily be a day trip, but I choose to spend the night because Dottie's with me, and Darrell has a big house he's renting, so we're going to stay there for the night. And what about George? Well, Cheryl's going to take care of George. Why don't I bring George? Because George hates motion. I would have to sedate George both ways. Not fair to George. George would be just fine. And, I didn't realize it because, I have my mind on other things usually when I'm making this trip, because I'm either on my way to Pahrump or from Pahrump on my way down here. How beautiful the landscape is between Parker and Lake Havasu. There's La Paz County Park. So an interesting thing came up the other day. Those of you that have been with me for a while know how excited I am about the Escapees Co-op Park in Pahrump that I'm on the wait list for, and I'm wait about 2 years. And I knew there was one in Yuma, but I thought it had just an enormous wait list. And I ran into a couple friends of mine that said that I just found out, hey, they just got in. And when they went on, they said 7.5 years. In 2 years, they were on. And I went out there and I looked at the wait list, and they're like number 15 on that wait list. And they're up right now, and there's only 50 on the wait list. So I'm going to shoot down there pretty soon and do a tour of it, and maybe get on that wait list too, and just check out the park and see if I might like it better. I might say goodbye to Pahrump and hello to Yuma as my sort of permanent home. And that was, how convenient would that be if I were, had my sort of home base in Pahrump, and it's like, an hour and a half to get to Quartzsite versus a day travel. We'll see. And my friend had spent plenty of time at the one in Pahrump, and she said they preferred the one in Yuma. So we're going to have to check that out and maybe get on both wait lists. I mean, the deposits were fundable on both. The only thing I saw was, I couldn't see on the website, but now when you do a Google search, you get like an AI answer, and you can't really depend on it. It doesn't really give resources. But it said the lots go from 8,000 to 30,000. 8,000 is great news. 30,000, I don't know about you, Rob, Travels with Dottie does not have $30,000 to spend on a lot. No, I don't. But there must be a pretty, if that's true, and we'll find out whether it is when we go down there, that's a big spread. There must be a big difference in lots. If there's a $30,000 lot, holy mackerel. So Yuma's an interesting place. It's kind of a big, for the Southwest, it's a moderate-sized city. I mean, it's got multiple Walmarts, to give you an answer of the size. It's right on the border. I mean, the county there is, they fight the border problems and border crossings, and it's really just minutes away from where you can cross to go into Algodones to get dental and work stuff done. So it's very, very close to there. It's not that far from San Diego. It's a nice location. The only drawback maybe would be it's hot in the summer. Okay, Yuma, desert, Mexican border, hot, hot, hot. Looks like we're almost crossing the Colorado River there. We're right next to it. I hope you got a glimpse of that. We got another 26 Buckeye Mountain State Park. I never heard of that. Tell me if you know anything about Buckeye Mountain State Park. Can you camp there? Do they have hookups there? What's it like? But I gotta tell you, this putting this drive onto the recording here, I think was a really good idea, because isn't this beautiful? So anyway, we got another possibility coming. Yuma Escapees Co-op Park. We're right along the river now. I hope you can see that. I don't have the monitoring turned on, so. So we're coming up on an hour. Remember, we left at 8:54. It's right now it's 9:52. So at the hour mark, I'll tell you in 2 minutes how many miles we have left. We can probably calculate that. It's going to be 23. So I'm going 55. So it's probably, we talked about an hour and a half. It's probably an hour and 25 minutes would be my guess, which would put us there at 10:20. So it's Sunday morning at 9:52 a.m. And then there's River Island State Park. That's another Arizona state park. And the topography gets even more interesting as we go along here. Why am I so surprised? I think I've made this trip multiple times, and I had paid no attention. Look at all those houses built into the hill there. Probably because the views are so spectacular. Man, there are houses all over the place up here. Now we got to slow down to 45, it says here. So maybe it'll take a little longer. I didn't realize there'd be a little bit of a slowdown. Guy crossing the street with his puppy dogs. It's kind of a little village here. I don't know if this is still in Parker or Yacht Club Brewing, Bighorn Drive. I didn't see like a little town or village sign or anything, but it looks pretty charming right on the river here. Now there's some houses right on the river on the left here. I mean, it's a little close to the highway for my taste, but I noticed they have, on the highway side, they just have garages. So the garage probably is a pretty effective noise insulator, and the living part of the house is right on the Colorado River. So that could be worth the trade-off. So we're at 1 hour now, and as I said, it was easily calculated. 23 miles left. Maybe a little past the 20 past the hour, because we're still in a 45 mile an hour zone here. And now that I've done a little distance traveling since I've been at Quartzsite instead of just the back and forth to town, not hooked up to trailer, gas mileage is a little better. It's 18.1 miles per gallon. It's fairly respectable. Looks like another little community here. And on the left here looks like a collection of homes on the river. Parker Dam is a half a mile to the left. That's a 95, it's called the South Spur. It goes to Parker Dam. We're still at 45 mile an hour speed limit. It says Lake Havasu City, London Bridge, 24 miles. So it looks like Darrell's place is a little short of there, a couple miles short of. You know the old London Bridge song. This is the actual bridge, as far as I know. And I'll double check myself, and I'm sure Ken will check me, but I believe they brought the pieces of these bridge over from England and reassembled them here on Lake Havasu as kind of a tourist attraction. And I think they decorate it for holidays and such. Look at the views even getting more spectacular. So I guess the answer is, even if I don't have anything interesting to talk about, it'll be worth it just to see this trip, especially on the nice camera outside the windshield. You're not shooting through. And you know, I tried so hard shooting stuff through the windshield, the Windex on the windshield and scrub it, but you can't stop the glare that happens. And you can never get it completely clean. I can't anyway. One of the tricks I learned when I was a kid is Windex using a newspaper to do clean. Have you ever heard of that? Windex and newspaper to clean a windshield. All right, I think I remember that our housekeeper, and no, we weren't rich. My housekeeper was childcare for me because I grew up with a single father. So he hired someone. I remember her cleaning mirrors with Windex and newspaper. You know, pieces of newspaper. My sisters, it reminds me of my sisters have a story about me when I was barely old enough to talk. And I was, we had these windows that had, you know, real window panes. Which are so rare these days, but you know, the house was built in 1959 and it had window panes, and I was with my sister. I guess I was helping cleaning, and I would spray a window pane and then take a rag and wipe it, and then spray another window pane and wipe it. And then she said I just sprayed like 5 of them all at once, and then wiped all 5 down and turned to her and said, "This is efficiency." Did I learn that on Romper Room or Mr. Rogers? I think that was even pre-Mr. Rogers. But nothing in my memory is pre-Romper Room. You know, Romper Room, and I know most of you are my age, so you know what I'm talking about. But just for those of you that are younger and have no idea what Romper Room was, it was a children's show. And the iconic thing about it, at the end of it, the star, the teacher, would look through like a magic mirror at the TV. You could see her face through it, and she pretended she could see you at home, and she would address people by name and says, "Nice to see you again, Catherine and Robert," and she would just do a string of very generic names. And when she said Robert, I just went out of my mind. She can see me. She can see me. Romper Room and Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Green Jeans. Boy, that was TV comfort food for little kids when I was growing up. And I was a little too old for Sesame Street came right at the time I was getting maybe too old to be into it, sadly. Oh, now we're up to 65 again with 18 miles to go. So we got 65 miles an hour. We got a Class A up behind me pretty tight going, go the speed limit. I will. I'm doing it. Okay, I'm 65 now. Hope you're happy. Yeah, those were, you know, I don't take the position that my years growing up were better than kids now. I know people like to imagine that and say it, but there are things that I loved about my childhood that don't exist anymore today for various reasons, and I'm a little sad for that. But there are things that exist today in childhood that would have been amazing when we were kids, right? On-demand cartoons. If you used that sentence back then, you would be confused. What do you mean? What does that mean? The closest I got to that is my dad worked at Kodak, and for one of my birthday parties, he brought in a 16 millimeter projector from work with films of Disney cartoons. That was mind-blowing for me and every one of my friends. That's as close as you could get. Now a kid just needs to pick up an iPad or a phone and you can watch whatever cartoon you want. But when we were kids, wait till Saturday morning. There was actually a thing that my dad, of course, the housekeeper was not around on the weekends. It was my dad took care of me on the weekends. The housekeeper went back to her own house. And my dad wanted to go to the YMCA to work out every Saturday morning. And so did a lot of other dads needed to take their kids, because in the lobby of where the workout place was, oh, by the way, this is going to lead to another good story. There was like this little living room with a color TV. I think it was a color TV. It might not have been. But a place to just leave your little kid, and there was someone there to keep an eye on them and make sure they didn't leave the room, and you were plopped down in front of a TV Saturday morning to watch Saturday morning cartoons. So he just sort of transferred me from our living room floor to the living room floor at the Y. Then when I got older, my dad thought it was important to take me with him for the workouts. And let me draw a little bit of picture for you. I was a tubby, maybe described as a fat kid. And my dad was pretty concerned about that. I guess he didn't really understand enough to really get serious about restricting my diet or changing my diet, but he thought exercising would help. So I would go with him, and one of the things that we did, we were in a weight room. Here's a funny thing. There was a belt. You stood on a machine and a wide belt went around your back, or you could turn it and it would be around your belly, and it was mechanical, and it would just kind of shake you back and forth. It was no exercise. And also there was an electric bicycle that you could get on and flip on it, and it would move your legs with no resistance. The motor was doing all the work, so that did like nothing. But there was a track that went around above the gymnasium, and 24, 25 times around would be 1 mile. And my dad was a distance runner in college, and he was always in good shape. So I would run behind my dad. Imagine this fat little kid. But I did it every Saturday. And I can't even remember whether I hated it or not. I don't think I liked it, but I did it. Because my dad seemed proud of me, so I did it. And in grade school, we had like an event called a field day, where all the classes went out and participated in outdoor sporting events. And one of the events was a 1 mile long distance run. And, you get to volunteer for the various things, and the class picked which class members participated in which things. And nobody wanted to do the 1 mile run. No kids back then ran anywhere. And I raised my hand, and the class laughed at me. The fat little kid's going to do the 1 mile run. Of course, they let me do it. Nobody else wanted to do it. Guess who won? Yeah, I won. And I won, and it was, I think they had a route that you had to do a circuit 4 times. And by the 3rd time, the kids were so exhausted and falling off, they stopped the race and declared me the winner because I was well ahead of everyone. And I could have gone the 4th time. I was running a mile every week. It was cake. And I got home and I told like my family, my brothers and sisters, and my father that I won. And they didn't give out ribbons or anything. I just won. And I won big points for my class. I'm not sure they believed me, but it's true, it happened. That sort of moment was a big deal for me in childhood, because it like, hey, I proved everyone else wrong about me. And if I can prove everyone else wrong about me, then it sort of gave me the power to prove others' opinions wrong about me in the future. It was I think now that I'm telling this story and I'm thinking about that moment, I think that was kind of a big deal in my childhood, to have that moment where people were, I love the saying, don't judge a book by its cover. They were judging me by my cover and how I looked. And they think, there's no way that fat little kid is going to even be able to finish the race, much less win it. And kids did come up to me talking about how impressed and surprised they were that I won. And I think, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I remember someone, even one of the kids, saying, I know we laughed at you, Robert, but when we saw that you were ahead, we started cheering for you. Gets me a little choked up thinking about that. Boy, it really, I always had this memory, but telling the story brings more of it back. Brings more of it back. And I think it's a really important thing, whether you get the gift of experience like that or not, what other people think about you and say about you often isn't true. It's often a lie. And you know what that brings to mind too, is that what you think about other people may be equally inaccurate and wrong. It's a big life lesson for me that I continue to learn. When I get to know you and I think I know who you are, what you're capable of, what you're not capable of, I'm engaging in judgment. And so often, my judgment can be totally wrong. And we're back to one of my favorite quotes, Walt Whitman, and coming to me by way of Ted Lasso. The show is be curious, not judgmental. And Ted saying, I noticed curious people ask questions. Judgmental people generally don't. They don't feel a need to ask questions because they think they already know. How interesting. And so what an interesting turn this little chat on this beautiful road took. I never saw that coming. Coming over the rise of a hill here and seeing, it's a beautiful view of the mountains. It's just everywhere you go out here, out from Quartzsite, there's just seem to be mountains in the distance everywhere. And I think we're going to just go the distance, guys, because we've only got 7 miles to go, 7.3 miles to go, 4 miles to go before we turn off the highway. I wonder if any of you had similar experiences to the one that I had, where you surprised everyone, or maybe even surprised yourself in doing something you were able to do. I'd love to hear about that in the comments and read them. If you don't know, I read all the comments every day on camera, every single comment. I'm looking at the camera on the 2 suction cups. It ain't moving. It's doing a really good job. Actually, I can probably connect to it and see the view. I can. If I carefully do this without looking. It's hard to do things without looking at the phone. But I think I can do most of this. It's just a couple of clicks. Searching. Connecting, joining, yeah, I don't have to look. Yeah, I can see the view. It's beautiful. See, what does it say up here? Sarah Park Speedway and Rodeo Grounds. Oh, we need to be at 55. We have a new speed limit. All right, we're at 55. What does it say here? Entering Lake Havasu City. So to the city line, it was 1 hour and 23 minutes. So the lake have 1 hour and 23 minutes, and I think we can see either that's a wide part of the river or the lake in front of us. And we may not see the lake on this video, but we'll certainly, probably Darrell will go and I will venture out this afternoon and we'll do a separate video on our touring around Lake Havasu, since I've never seen it before and I want to take you with me. So in 1.5 miles or so, we're going to have to take a right-hand turn here. And I'm looking at the map. It doesn't look like we're going to get any lake views. So just be aware. Don't be too disappointed. We have a traffic light coming up and it's warning us we may have to stop. Still have 1 mile to go before the turn. We're going to make it through green, so we're good. You can resume 55. A little less than 1 mile, and we're going to turn on Oro Grande Boulevard. And this is
3/4 of a mile. Turn right on Oro Grande Boulevard.
That's what I said. So we're in the city, Lake Havasu City proper. I know there's a Walmart up here for sure. Let's see what else is available too. Something big up here looks retail. Don't know what it is. It's hard to read. Looks like a grocery store.
Turn right at the traffic light.
Rocket? Rasha's? Never heard of it. Anyone ever heard of Rasha's Markets? Or Basha's? It's hard to read. It's in script. It's a young girl with a very, looks like an Irish setter maybe, or not an Irish setter, but a Springer Spaniel. You should know that because my last dog Sadie was a Springer. It's Basha's.
Saratoga Avenue.
Never seen it before, but it looks like a very nice store. So we have a mile and a half through this nice little neighborhood in Lake Havasu City. These nice little houses. I wonder what they go for. They're beautiful homes. So Darrell just sent a photo to me. Oh, it looks like an amazing sunset on the lake. Oh my gosh, Darrell. And Darrell, you sent me that, and I'm 2.7 miles from you. But it's going to take a little while. What did I say? The 10:20. I don't think we're going to make that because we're having to go 25 miles an hour for the last couple miles. So I think we're going to be a little past 10:20. Maybe a little bit closer to the original estimate of an hour and a half. Still a couple miles away, and it's still 25 miles an hour for obvious reasons. Busy little, very nice little neighborhood. I wonder if this is the kind of neighborhood that, it's probably the exact kind of neighborhood that Darrell's in. So I'm thinking he was saying it's a Airbnb, and I think he said it was about $1,000 or $1,200 a month. Yeah, it's got a pool and a hot tub and everything. It's not going to be cheap, but comparatively to some other areas of the country, that's very inexpensive. We'll ask him what he's paying when we get there. So a little less than a half a mile. I'm going to make a turn on the street that he's on. And it looks like he's about
Saratoga Avenue.
So it looks like he's about a mile and a half down Saratoga Avenue. So it's probably going to be pretty identical to this neighborhood. And we're up to 35 miles an hour. With 1 minute left, it's going to be 10:20. So we're going to be pretty close. I told him 10:30, so.
Turn left on Saratoga Avenue.
And here we are on Saratoga Avenue.
In 1.5 miles, arrive at 3179 Saratoga Avenue on the right.
Well, we may want to double check to make sure that we have that number right, because I just went past a place that has a big Class A that looks a lot like Darrell's. So let's make sure. 3179 Saratoga. Yeah, 3179. So it's going to be on the right up here. We're at 10:20. We're not there yet. We have still 1.2 miles to go. But that was not a bad estimate. You got to admit, I said, I think 10:20. That's going to be 10:20. Well, it's gonna be 10:22 probably. If we're real lucky, 10:21. 10:22. I see a stop sign. That'll slow us down a little. Looks like he might be a little bit on a hill. A kid on a skateboard. Doesn't even look like a powered one. Right, we're at 10:21 and almost a mile to go, so it ain't gonna be 10:21. I'll revise and say it's lucky if we get here at 10:22. There's one for sale right there. Doesn't say how much. Let's see, there are quite a few places. They have boats, RVs. Here's another one for sale with a pool. It's $33.85. Oh, and you can, I think we see, there is a view of the lake. Look at that. Look at that.
In 1/4 mile, arrive at 3179 Saratoga Avenue on the right.
Well, it's around this corner down here. His place could potentially have a view of the lake. Hell, I wasn't expecting that. Probably not. We just missed the view. It's over the top of those houses. So you probably didn't see it on the screen, but it's straight ahead there, behind those houses. And we're talking 500 feet. The house.
Arriving at 3179 Saratoga Avenue on the right.
And there's a steep driveway here. We have arrived and it is 10:23. So 1 minute short, well, it's an hour and a half. There's no two ways about it, is there? It's an hour and a half. It snapped onto here. And let's ring the doorbell, Dottie.
Hello?
Hello?
Nobody home?
Oh man, let's go back home, Dottie.
Gotta turn the doorknob on. Dotty dog. What are you doing, Dotty dog?
You're on camera, dude.
Oh,
This is my other brother, Darrell.
What are you gonna wear a coat? It's cold or something.
It was cold this morning.
Oh,
It was cold this morning.
Dotty dog, what are you up to?
So this is the place, man. This is
This
it,
is the
huh?
rental this time. Yeah. I think this one's better than the one I had
Oh damn!
last year.
Look at that pool.
Well, last year wasn't laid out.
Now you're not heating the pool because that costs you money, right? But the hot tub's heated.
Yeah. Well, I can heat both of them,
But it costs big money.
$300 to heat that big.
So where's my room?
I'll be that one in there.
Let's see, Dottie.
I'll be that one in there.
To the left here.
Yeah.
Dottie, look. This is where we're staying. Look at that. Look at that. Now, Dottie has this thing where she doesn't really understand the difference between outside and a big house.
Okay.
So she could squat.
We'll figure it out.
All right, Dottie, I'm going to let you. This is safe, right? She can't get out of here?
No.
All right, go.
I just had my friend's dog here yesterday. No spots. Iffy, over there where I put that pool float against that gate behind the motorhome. I thought maybe he could squirt through the bars there, so I put that float there last night.
So it was almost to the minute, an hour and a half.
Was it?
Yeah, almost to the minute.
Did you guess, or is that what GPS told you?
No, I just looked at the mileage and GPS. I totally inaccurate every time.
Probably no traffic though.
All right, I'm gonna show. So this is London Bridge in Lake Havasu. Check it out. And you said, Darrell, this for sure was brought over from England. That's a lot of tonnage to bring over.
Yep.
It had to go by boat and then across land, and they had to reassemble it.
Yep. Right here, brick by brick. Mr. McCullough, he discovered the city. Right over here. There's actually a bridge here. There was the military.
Yeah.
There was an army base back out here in World War II, out on the end of the island.
We're going to burgers under the bridge, right?
Yep.
Literally and figuratively.
It's really good though. Little stage here to do show. They use this under the bridge. This is really acoustic. Kind of hopeful thing. That's the restaurant right there.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. Good, how are you?
Hey, what can I help you with?
Alley.
So that's California on the other side of the lake there. Pretty sweet, man.
That's all Havasu. Havasu is a pretty big city, man. Look at that.
That is big. Let's go out here so you can see a little clearer.
Yeah, I can't wait to go out on the water and fish. We haven't got to go yet.
Okay.
It's all going to depend on the angle. This loose stuff.
So, if you guys, you can't tell from the video, but this is pretty much straight up. And I'm just doing a video because of it, in case this is my last moments in life. It's recorded. But he's taking this thing like it's not even there.
Didn't even spin.
Not even there. It was a nothing ball.
Jeeps are crazy, man. Jeeps are crazy.
That big, I don't know if you can see the size of that rut we drove through. We drove through and I didn't even feel it.
It's like 2 feet deep.
Amazing. Got to get me a Jeep.
Yeah, that was.
So I just wanted to give you a sneak peek. This is the display that was installed by Darrell, and it works beautifully. Pretty excited about it. There's Dottie. Dottie dog. Puppy. What's up, Dottie? She has no idea what a hot tub is or what the heck I'm doing. She just knows it's almost dinner time. It's almost supper time, right, Dottie? Well, I know today's video wasn't real extensive visiting with Darrell. Maybe I'll do better tomorrow. The reason it didn't do too well is battery power. I used up everything doing the installation video on the new screen for my truck. That'll be done later, but all the batteries, including my phone, were used up, and I barely have enough to do this shot with me and Dottie in the hot tub. Well, at least me in the hot tub, Dottie outside the hot tub. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon. Thank you.